My name is Youn. I've been living in the homesteads all my life. This is where I was born and raised, and this is where I reside right now. In fact, my house is right down the hill. This is where I grew up, the Wailua homesteads. It starts on the boundaries of Wailua River all the way to Waipoli Road. My great grandfather came from Spain in the early 1900s and purchased a homestead lot up here, and that's where we've been ever since. Father was born in Koloa and then moved over here because his grandfather purchased 32 acres here and started raising sugarcane. My mother was born and raised in Kalihiwai, and they met working at the cannery, pineapple cannery. I think Christmas every year the families at the cannery, families of the cannery would go up to the cannery, and the biggest thing was to get the brown bags, and even in the schools everybody used to get the brown paper bags, and they would have apple, orange, and hard candy, hard Christmas candy, which I don't see anymore. And then they would have a Christmas party up at the cannery, and they would give everybody silver dollars as the Christmas gift. And also, besides silver dollars, they would also give you a Christmas present. So going to the pineapple cannery Christmas party during my younger days was really enjoyable. You got to realize that those days our life kind of revolved around the cannery and other families, the plantation. It was really like the master. They controlled your jobs, your working hours, your life. One of my favorite activities when I was young was to come up here and get Christmas trees. So what I would do is I would climb up these trees, and these trees were pretty old when I was young because these trees were planted in 1933 with the CCC, the Conservation Corps, with the New Deal with Franklin Roosevelt. Well, this is one of the projects that they had back in 1933. All of the people on Kauai that never had jobs worked for the CCC. So when I was growing up, we never had money to go buy Christmas trees from the store. So I would climb up. If you look at the branches, I would climb up to the branches, go all the way to the top, cut the top off, hold the Christmas tree out like this with the top up, and then I would drop it so when it hit the ground, the leaves wouldn't break. And then I would, of course, when people knew I was doing it, they would ask me for me to get Christmas trees for them. So when I came up here, I would have to climb 4 or 5 trees. And now that I look at the trees and see how tall they are, I wouldn't even think of doing it. And I don't know why I was so crazy to do something like that. But the thing was, the higher ones had the nicest trees, nicest tops. But then I probably would get arrested if I did it now. But at the time, nobody really cared. But I know you cannot cut any of these trees now. And that was one of my favorite activities when I was growing up here. Growing up on a farm was really hard, especially during summer, because summer was harvesting time. So we would start, and besides working on a farm, we also had to work up at the pineapple cannery. So we would start working at 5, so we would have to wake up about 4, work from 5 to about 2:30, 3 o'clock, then come home and harvest your own pineapples on the farm. So you would start work at 5, and then after working in the cannery and coming back to your own farm and working, you would work all the way till 9, 10 o'clock, 6, 7 days a week during the farm. It was really hard. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and out of the 7, out of 8 of us, 7 of us went to college. So the farm, even though it was a lot of hard work, sent all of us to college. My father had gave me two choices: join the service or go to college. So I said I'm going to college, and that's where I went. One of my brothers never went to college because it was in the middle of the Vietnam War, and he decided to join the service instead of going to college. And he went to college and he came back and he got into his own business and he makes more money than all of us that went to college. So he never needed to go to college. I went to school at St. Catherine's, and from St. Catherine's I went to Kappa High School. Then I went to a junior college in California for 2 years and I got my degree at University of Hawaii. And in fact, when I was at my senior year at the university, I got a call from the principal at Kappa High that there was a job opening and they'd hold a job for me when I got out of college. So as soon as I graduated from college, I flew home and started working the next week. So I never had any vacation. After I got my degree, I came straight back to work, and I've been at Kappa High School ever since. I, I taught industrial arts and I also taught economics and geography and economics. We used to teach welding in the auto shop, and all of a sudden one of the students said, "Fire, fire, fire." So the student that was welding was looking all around where was the fire, because everybody was yelling where was the fire, and he didn't know that the fire was his hair, because the welding slag fell on his hair and his hair was on fire. So he was looking all around to see where the fire was, and it actually was his hair burning. So luckily he never got hurt. It was everybody was laughing, but after a while we finally realized how serious it could have been, and that was one of my fondest memories. Just something small. I guess in the promotional ladder, you go to the next stage or next level, and one of the levels was to get into administration. Because when I got in, there were not too many people interested in administration. A lot of headaches. The pay wasn't comparable to what other executives in other fields made. So there was very little interest for teachers to get into administration. In my case, working in the industrial arts, I was exposed to a lot of chemicals, paints, thinners, oil, dust, plastic waste, and so forth. So I knew if I stayed in that area for a long time, my health would suffer. So I knew I needed to get out and get into another area in education. Teacher, guidance, teacher Miss Enrique, English teacher for Channel 2 News tonight. As a principal, every day is difficult choice, a lot of choices with students, with parents, with teachers. It's really a job that requires a lot of common sense and a lot of integrity, because if you do make the wrong decision, you end up with an enemy for the rest of your life. So a lot of the decisions I made had to do with fairness, with of course the rules and regulations of the DOE, and that's what I try to be, fair and yet uphold the rules and regulations of the DOE, and sometimes it's really hard to do that. You're more an independent person working for the DOE. There's not that many top-down where if you don't do what they tell you, you get fired and so forth. It's more, I guess, more, like I said, independent. You have more input as a worker at the DOE, and you have a working relationship with the administration. With the cannery, and plantation, it was like um, untouchable bosses that whenever they told you something, you had to jump up and say yes, sir. Nowadays with the DOE, there's more, I guess, working together to come up with a decision. So when I was going to college, they started building the hotels here. So when I would come home from college, I would work in the construction industry. So I was a laborer, and I also was a carpenter apprentice, and I helped build the Anchorage. I'm not too sure what it's called in Haena. That hotel or condominium in Haena, the Kauai resorts, and I think the Beach Boys. So there was some of the projects that I worked on. And even today, I'm still doing carpentry work. Right now, I'm doing the fisheries next to the ag building, and that's where I was today working. So most of my days off, I've been in the last, since I was a principal, and even before, I was doing a lot of work up at the school, the student center. We started that building in 1990, I believe, 91, and it went all the way till 97 before it was finished. And most of my Saturdays for that 4 or 5 years was working on the student center. Also the um, Hinamalka building, we built that. And my last project, like I said, was the fisheries, which is raising fish to be released in the Wailua Reservoir up here in the homesteads. So that's what I've been doing with my free time. I also built two homes. One was all by myself, which I'm proud to say. It took me 11 months after school and weekends to build a house by myself after the hurricane. And when I retire in the near future, that's what I'm going to be doing, building houses. I'll probably be too old to climb on the roof, so I'm going to have either my grandson or hire some other person to help me with the roof. Other than that, I'm still capable of building houses all by myself, which is what I want to do, and it's my passion. Of course, my passion is Kapaa High School and its students and staff, but my second passion is construction.